Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. My name's Kevin. I'm a head chef here at Fitzroy House on the Northampton site, and as part of Mental Health Awareness Week I'm going to show you my version of a chicken Dhansak curry. So what we've got here is all the ingredients you'll need. We've got some chicken, lean chicken breasts which I've diced up. I've marinated with natural yogurt and a few pinches of the different spices we've got here. So we've got some ground cumin, some chili powder, some turmeric, we've got some garlic and ginger paste, some coriander, some lemon juice, some sugar, seasoning, some diced fresh tomatoes, a bit of tomato passata, some cooked red lentils. And what we're going to do first of all is start off with some sliced onions to go into our pan. I'm going to get the pan nice and warm. A glug of oil in there, and then we'll get our sliced onions in. So here I've just used one kind of large onion. You can use two medium-sized onions, but we've got one large onion going in here, just finely sliced, and then we'll pop them, get them going in our pan. Now what we want to do is kind of get some good colour. Any good curry should have a base of some golden caramelised onions in there, because that adds the base sweetness to your curry. It'll take about 10, 12, 15 minutes. What we do, we just get them ticking over. I'll add a little bit of seasoning at this point, just some salt and some pepper while they cook down. So a Dhansak curry is a traditional curry, and it kind of differentiates itself from other types of curry by having the addition of some red lentils that I've cooked down in just some chicken stock and some seasoning and some lemon juice and sugar. So the curry is a kind of a fairly hot, sweet and sour style curry sauce, and it's generally my go-to curry if I'm out at an Indian restaurant or I'm ordering a takeaway. So we're just going to carry on and get these onions nice and cooked down and caramelised before we move on to the next stage of the sauce. So now you can see after about 10 minutes the onions have cooked down, they've gone golden in colour, they'll be nice and sweet as the base of our curry now. So I'm just going to turn down the heat a touch and then add in our garlic and ginger paste, about 2 teaspoons of the garlic and ginger paste. So I'm just going to turn the heat down and just let that cook out for about 1 minute. And while that's ticking over doing its thing, we're just going to get the chicken that I've marinated into the grill setting on our oven, just so it can cook through and get a nice charred exterior, and then we can add it into our curry sauce in a little while. So we've got our marinated chicken here. All that's going on there now is a pinch of salt and pepper, and then we should pop it. So if you haven't got one of these beasts at home, just use your domestic grill. This will probably go in for about 8 minutes. And when you're doing it at home, you pop it in for about 4, give it a turn over, then another 4 or 5 minutes. If it's not all the way cooked through, it doesn't matter too much because it's going to go into the curry sauce and finish off cooking anyway. So now we've had our garlic and ginger paste cooking out for a minute or so, we're going to pop in our spices and just toast them in the pan for a minute or so. So we've got 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. So don't turn your pan up too high at this point, because the last thing you want is your spices to burn and just destroy the work you've already done. So If you do find your pan's getting too hot, you can always pop in just a splash of water just to lower the temperature and prevent anything burning. What you want to do is give that about a minute, just gently toasting those spices just to release all the oils and the flavours. But now the spices have been in there for about 1 minute, just cooking out. I'm going to go in with a couple of heaped teaspoons of tomato paste and just cook that out, just so it's not so raw. Cooks out the bitter flavour of the tomato paste. So again, the pan is quite dry, so I'm just going to pop in just a little glug of water just to prevent it sticking or burning, and then we'll cook that out for a further minute. So now the tomato paste is cooked out, what we're going to do is add now about 250 or 300 mils of tomato passata, and that will be the base for our sauce together with the lentils. So put the passata in and pop the lentils in as well. Let's just mix those together. Turn the heat up. What we want to do is bring this up to a simmer. We can adjust the consistency with a bit more water, and then we can pop our chicken in and then just finish the chicken off cooking in the pan, and then we will season and add the final bits of lemon, sugar and coriander. So just going to pop a little bit more water and then it just comes up to a simmer. Right. We've taken our sauce down to the consistency we want. We've let that simmer for about 5 minutes and our chicken is ready. That was about 8 minutes under the grill or in your oven, however you want to do it, but quite a high heat, so you can see the natural sugars in the yogurt have charred and you get that kind of tandoori effect on it. So that's just about cooked through, so I'm going to pop that into the sauce and then just coat with the chicken with that sauce. Just let that simmer another couple of minutes. At this point you can pop in this handful of fresh coriander into there, a little bit of fresh diced tomato, and then kind of the traditional ingredients in the Dhansak is that kind of sweet and sharp element. So we've got some fresh lemon juice which I'll pop into there. You can add as little or as much as you like, just season it to your own taste. Pop some sugar in there to give some sweetness, and then we go in with a good pinch of salt and pepper, and just give that another couple of minutes just simmering down, and then we shall move on to the next stage. So the curry is finished now, we've got it to the consistency that we want. The chicken's just been simmering there for a further 2 minutes just to make sure it's cooked through. So leave that somewhere warm just while we get on with getting the basmati rice done. So with the rice, I've got some basmati rice here. What I've done with it is washed it and drained it 3 times just till the water runs clear. Get rid of any dust or excess starch, because what we don't want is sticky rice. We want some basmati rice that when it's cooked, the grains are individual, it's nice and fluffy. So what we're going to pop into the boiling water is a good pinch of seasoning, some black pepper there, and just to perfume the rice, what we're going to do is pop in a couple of cloves and 3 cardamom pods. All we need to do with them is just crack them with the back of the knife just to release the pod. Pop into our water there. Boiling water, let's pop in our rice. And with the rice I'll work on a ratio of 1 part rice to 3 parts water. It's really important to make sure that it's washed thoroughly so that the water runs really clear, so it doesn't go really horrible and sticky when it's cooked. So we'll give that a stir. We'll bring that back up to the boil, and I tend to cook basmati rice, especially when it's been washed and soaked, for about 8 minutes, but just check on it so it doesn't overcook. You want it just cooked, nice and fluffy. So we'll give that about 8 minutes, and then we'll start putting the next part of the dish together. So what we're going to make now to go along with our Dhansak curry is some fresh onion bhajis. So we're going to make the batter now, and into here I'm going to pop 125 grams each of self-raising flour and corn flour. Now traditionally an onion bhaji is made with gram flour, which is a ground chickpea flour, but I prefer the texture of this batter, and it's kind of like a Japanese tempura batter. It does go nice and crispy, and I just prefer that way. So we're going to use that recipe for this one. And into there I've got a heaped teaspoon of onion seeds, a couple of teaspoons of freshly chopped coriander, a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of ground turmeric, a teaspoon of curry powder. We've got one whole finely shredded green chili. You can put less in, you can put more in depending on what spice level that you like. A good pinch of black pepper, a good pinch of salt. And now we're going to make the batter. An important element of the tempura batter for this bhaji recipe is the use of ice cold sparkling water. It just aerates the batter, and I'm going to use about 200 mils at the moment and see where we get with that. If I need more, I can use more, or if I've used too much, I can always put a bit more flour in to thicken it up. What I want to do is get a nice thick batter that will coat our onions when we fry our bhajis. So I'm going to pop just a touch more. With that, just knock out any lumps. You can see how it's turned, it's taken on all those spices and turned a really nice colour. So that is ready now for the addition of our onions. Okay, so our rice is ready now. It's had about 8 minutes just simmering away, and I've drained it, and you can see that each of the grains are individual. It hasn't gone stodgy and sticky, and it's nice and fluffy, ready to go with our Dhansak curry. Right, so we've got our bhaji batter made. Now into that I've got a couple of large sliced onions that I've just soaked in milk for a couple of hours just to take off the harshness of the onion. If you wanted to keep it vegan, you could just soak it in water for a couple of hours, but it just makes them less harsh when they go into the batter. So let's pop the onions in there. Pop that out of the way. And then I can go in and give that a really good mix. And then once all that is incorporated, we can go in with our hands and just give it a final mix. And then what we're going to do is set our fryer to 180 and then just drop in small handfuls of the bhaji batter, and they should really puff up and go nice and golden and crispy. So let me move this a bit closer to get a good handful into there. So they've been frying for about 3 or 4 minutes. I've turned them over once, and you can see they're lovely and golden, nice and crispy and cooked. So just drain them onto kitchen paper just to take that excess oil off, stop them being too greasy. And just while they sit, and just drain that grease up, I'm just going to give them one final seasoning, a touch of salt, as while they sit there hot and steaming, that salt will absorb. It's beautifully seasoned. Right, now we can plate up our chicken Dhansak. So the chicken curry is nice and hot. Let's pop it there. Let's have our serving container. Some nice chunks of chicken in there, some of that lovely lentil sauce. Let's pop our fresh, hot, crispy bhajis in our basket. So we've got our basmati rice, our chicken Dhansak, we've got a little bit of mango chutney just to finish off the platter. Let's have it with some poppadoms. So there we go. There's my interpretation of my favourite Indian restaurant and takeaway dish, chicken Dhansak with basmati rice, fresh onion bhajis, poppadoms, mango chutney. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you do it at home and enjoy. Thank you.